request to do a yoga for splits video, and I think you'll see I have not personally mastered the split in my own body, but I can show you all of the things that you can do to work towards it. And I will say that me, personally, starting with some very tight hamstrings, very tight hips, some other stuff going on, that I've come much further. Be aware of your own progress. My split may not look very complete or very low or the fullest expression of the posture, but for me, it is a huge increase from what I was able to do before. So that's all you're aiming for, is to get better, to improve yourself based on you, not based on somebody else. Some people just have the natural flexibility, and you might be able to go a little bit further. You might just find a split right away, and actually you need to work on strength rather than flexibility. The key is to find a balance between your flexibility and your strength to find your split or your deepest expression of really any posture. This yoga practice is going to be a full yoga practice while incorporating some good stretches for all of the muscles involved in a split, and then ending or towards the end your fullest expression of your split, whatever that is today. Let's begin in a child's pose. A brief little warm-up. We're going to start to warm up the hip flexors here. Widening child's pose. Toes together. Press the hips back, chest down to your mat. Take a big stretch, fingertips to hips. You might want to massage the forehead side to side into your mat. Take a moment to settle, to arrive to your practice. Notice what comes up for you, what's tight, what's more open, what do you need? Keeping the hips back, we're just going to slowly move to each side. Fingertips all the way over towards the right. Maybe you cross the left hand on top. Feel this big opening stretch on the left side of your body. And while you find that stretch, press the hips down. Walk yourself back to center and take the hands over towards the left. Press the hips back. Open up your right side body. Come all the way back to center. Brief little twist on each side. Walk your hands up. Right arm underneath. Take a twist. Keep the hips back. So we're still working on opening up the hips. Top arm come all the way out or wraps behind you. You might even keep it like a little kickstand, whatever works for you. Slowly unravel, come back to the center. Maybe you shimmy the shoulders a bit, then right arm through. Again, top arm can stay, can wrap behind. You might want it like a kickstand, up to you, but rest here. Slowly unravel, come back to center. This time pressing yourself all the way up to a tabletop. Knees a little bit closer, hands underneath your shoulders. Last warm-up movement of the spine, cat-cow. Inhale, lift your chest and the tailbone. Exhale, push into the floor, round the spine. Again, inhale, lift. And exhale, round. Great, come back to center. Small warm-up by just stretching the right leg out behind you. And then just rock forward and back. Stretch the right leg behind you and rock forward and back. So yes, you're getting a little bit to the hamstring here, but you're also warming up the calf. You're also warming up the calf muscle. Even though it's not directly involved in your split, it certainly helps to open up the whole back side of the leg. your left leg out, rock forward and back a few times. And come back. This next sequence is to wake up the core, a little bit of core work, core movement, as well as start to stretch out the hip flexors and to stretch out the spine, get you a nice slight backward bend. Restart with the right hand up and the left leg up. One straight line, fingers to toes. You can point the toes or flex the toes, whatever keeps you most stable. And notice if your hip is opening to the side and see if you can guide it down more towards the floor. Lengthen. Exhale, land your hand and knee down. Maybe take a round of cat-cow. Other side, left arm, right leg. Point again or flex the toes, up to you, but keep your leg engaged. Make sure your hip's not opening to the side, but you're nice and parallel to the floor. Belly in to eliminate any low back sway. Land the hand and the knee down. Take a round of cat-cow if you like. Adding on. Right arm, left leg reach. This time in an inhale, open out to a diagonal. So you're kind of drawing a big star. Hand out to the corner, foot out to the corner. Exhale, come back in. Inhale, open. Try not to wag the hip, but keep your hips in place. Push into the floor with the left hand. Back to center. Last one, inhale, open. And then if you have it, find your balance, belly in. You can bend your foot and reach for your foot from behind. Ideally from the inside, so your hand stays facing out. This way it helps to open up the top shoulder. If you have more, you can start to kick your foot into your hand. Feel this open up your chest. Big stretch for the front of your hip flexor. Warming up the quads. Slowly come back to center. Try not to just drop it, but see if you can release with control back to center. Another round of cat-cow if you like. Other side. Left hand, right leg. Inhale to open to your diagonal. Again, maintain. Keep the belly sucked in. Exhale back to center. Inhale. Belly in, nice and strong. Exhale. One more inhale, open. This time, if you have it, bend the knee. Maybe you're just reaching back. It's okay if you don't even have the foot yet. One day I'll grab the foot, ideally from the inside, but if you need to, it can be from the outside. This inside grip just allows the top shoulder to roll open a little bit more. Now if you have the foot, kick into your hand as hard as you can. Open up the quad so you're feeling it start to work. Lift your chest, push your hand to the floor and feel that chest open. Slowly come back to center with control. A round of cat-cow if you like. And now you're nice and warmed up to tuck the toes and press yourself back to your first downward facing dog. Take some time to settle in. Pedal the feet, wiggle the hips, shake it out. Maybe roll forward and back. Then eventually you'll find your positioning. Hands about shoulder width distance, feet about hip width distance. What I like to do to check this is I will roll all the way forward to a plank pose with my wrists directly underneath my shoulders. Heels of the feet nice and high up on the balls of my feet. And then exhale, I press back to downward facing dog. Try to keep the hands and the feet the same. So you might need to make some little adjustments as you move between the two until you find a nice stable middle ground where the hands and the feet are the same for both. Wrap your triceps towards one another. Slide the shoulders down the back body. Let the neck release long. And breathe. Always stay with the breath. Nice and easy in and out through the nose. On your next inhale, come up high in the toes. Exhale, take the little tiny steps to the top of the mat. Those little small steps to really stretch out the hamstrings as you come all the way to the top. Inhale, flat back, long spine, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, let it go. Widen your feet and grab onto opposite elbows. Sway side to side. Here you're opening up the whole back side of the body, checking in with what you need. Nod the head, yes and no. The more you lift the belly, the deeper you can fold. And really feel free to bend your knees. So your belly should be resting on your thighs. It's okay if the knees have to be very bent. Release the elbows. Land your head down to the floor. Walk your feet closer together. Heels and toes touch, or maybe just a sliver between the feet. Make sure feet are grounded, soft bend in the knees, and roll up. Vertebra by vertebra. All the way up to the top, shoulders down and back, away from the ears. Tadasana, mountain pose. Shift the weight forward and back, heels and toes, until your weight is equally distributed between both feet. Belly in, tall spine. Shoulders relaxed. You're not forcing them down, but you're not hunching them up either. You're trying to find a nice middle ground where they're strong. Keep shoulders over hips. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, palms come to the center, forward fold. Belly in, head heavy. Inhale, long spine, flat back, halfway lift. Make sure to roll weight forward to your toes so the hips aren't sinking back. Exhale, land the hands. Step back to a plank pose. Heels high, hips low. You can always drop to the knees if you need to. But make sure that you still have this diagonal line from the hips to the crown of the head. And if you have it in you, lift the knees and keep the legs really strong. Press into the balls of your feet. Activate your quads. And hold here. Belly in. Whole body working. Right, next, exhale. Drop to your knees. Shift forward and lower all the way down. We're going to warm up the low back just a bit. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift your chest, just a little bit of arm strength, just slight. Exhale, lower. One more, inhale, lift. Maybe a little bit more with the hands. Exhale, lower. This time, tuck the toes. Press yourself back to downward facing dog. Then you might pause in a knee down plank. You might pause in a plank. Eventually make your way back to that V shape. Downward facing dog. Spread the fingers wide. Screw the hands into the floor. Nice and active. Whole body working. From your down dog, bend your knees. Step your right foot forward between your hands. And if it didn't make it, just pick the foot up. Bring it to the top. Back knee down. Low lunge. You can keep the back toes tucked or flat. Again, whatever feels better for you. And start to shift forward and back. Now you see we're really working on opening up hip flexors, the hips, anything else you need in the legs. If, like me, you are fairly tight here, here's where blocks come in handy. If you don't have blocks, use books, pillows, whatever it is you have. Something harder is preferably better. But so I like to keep them high here in the middle so that I can really focus on the movement in my legs. I have a much bigger range of motion if I move the floor closer to me. And then as I come forward, you can open your knee. As you come back, you can start to lift the toes up and sink your hips back towards your heel. Take a few more. Inhales coming forward, exhales coming back. Great, now the next time that your ankle is directly underneath your knee, pause here. Inhale, sweep the arms up, scissor your legs together, draw the right hip back and the left hip forward. Takes a bit of balance here, bit of work in your knee. Try to lift up out of the waist, rather than taking a back bend, lift up so that the lengthening, so you feel this lengthening in the front of your hip flexor. If you'd like a little bit more, you can inch this front foot a little bit more forward and press the hips more forward. Make sure they're not coming down, but forward in front of you. Tilt the hip points up towards the top of your mat. On your exhale, land your hand. Land your hands. On your exhale, land your hands. Left hand stays down to the mat. And twist open towards your knee. Now for this twist, I like to use a block. You might not need one. The block makes it so I can lift my hip up more towards the ceiling rather than twisting with me. This way my hips are still square and I feel the twist from the middle of my back. You can have the arm come up or wrap back behind you. That helps you kind of find that hip stability. Slowly unravel. Maybe use blocks, maybe not. Shift the hips back. Lift the toes up. Now here, it's really important that your hips don't, as mine just did, shift over towards the side. You're trying to keep the hips coming straight back, and now you'll really isolate that hamstring. It's okay if the knee is a little bit bent. It won't be perfectly straight. You're never trying to lock out your knee. Flex your toes a lot to go a little bit deeper. And now notice, are you hunching over? Maybe you walk your blocks a little bit closer towards your knee so that you can really focus on drawing the shoulders back and lengthening your chest forward. Great, slowly come back to the center, land your hand, tuck your back toe, and step all the way back to a three-legged dog. So you're extending the top leg all the way up. Maybe you shake it out a little bit. Land it down, bend your knees, left foot forward, back knee down. Start with your knee over your ankle, shift forward and back. Again, use blocks to help you if you need to. They can just help you get a little bit further back and a little bit further forward. As you come forward, open up your knee. As you come back, you might lift the toes. Find any extra movements that feel good to you, that make sense in your body. And then make sure that your knee is over your ankle and lift all the way up. Starting kind of a 90-degree angle with both of your legs. You're not too far. This way you can find the squaring of the hips, the lift from the middle of your waist. Then you can heel toe your front foot forward and sit down lower until your knee is back over your ankle. Again, you're trying not to sink into the hip, but you're lifting up and away. Create some space up out of the hip crease on the left side. Scissor the legs together. Left hip back, right hip forward. On your exhale, land your hands, keep your right hand planted, and now twist towards your left knee. Now notice that my hip has started to twist with me, so I'll use a block to help bring this hip up more towards the ceiling, squaring the hips off. That's why I wrap my arm behind, so I can really feel that connection with the hip, and my twist comes from the middle and the upper back, rather than the low back. Slowly untwist, land the hand, step back, down dog, or the three-legged dog with the legs sweeping all the way up. Shake it out if you need to. Land the foot, stay high in the toes, big inhale, exhale, walk, step, or maybe you try hopping to the top of the mat. Inhale, long spine, chest forward, exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, palms come to the center. Okay, so notice you should be definitely warmed up. Heart rate's increased, a little bit warmer. Take a moment to check in. This next sequence will be a little bit deeper. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Whether you bring the palms together or wide, that's up to you. Bend the knees, head heavy. Inhale, long spine, flat back. Exhale, land your hands. Make your way back to a plank pose. If you'd like to, you can add a vinyasa here, which is from plank. Shift the shoulders forward. Hug the elbows in and lower. Inhale, upward facing dog. Find any variation of that you need to. So if you need to drop to the knees in order to lower down, that's totally fine. And maybe you keep the hips on the ground in your upward facing dog. Engage the arms and the belly. Wherever you went, exhale, downward facing dog. This time, inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, hug in, knee to nose. Inhale, lift. Knee to right elbow, hug it in. Inhale. Exhale, knee to left elbow, hug it in and hold. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, step it all the way through. Back heel stays lifted. Rise up. Crescent lunge. Nice. Adding a little more heat. Scissor the legs. Notice if you have a sway in the low back. You might need to bend your back knee slightly to get the hips nice and even, lengthening the low back. Arms up. Exhale, open to twist towards your right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, twist again. Keep the legs right where they are, don't move them. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. This time, you can stay here or you can tilt the arms, bringing your right hand to the back left thigh and reaching the opposite arm up. This is really opening up the whole side body. The hip flexor on the left as you reach. Yes. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, frame the foot. Move through a flow or straight to downward facing dog, up to you. You step right back to plank, shift. Exhale, lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, same thing other side. Lift the left leg up. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale up. Exhale, knee to the left elbow. Inhale, back and up. Exhale, knee to right elbow cross. Inhale up. Exhale, knee to nose, hold, and then with control, land the foot down, root down, and rise up. Find your stance, make adjustments as needed. Bend your back knee again if you need to lengthen the low back and to keep the hip points tilting up. Find the nice middle ground. So I always have to bend my knee, but you might be able to have a straighter leg. Arms up. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale up. Exhale, twist. Peel the left arm up behind you. Maybe you look behind you. Inhale up. Exhale, last one, twist. Hold here. And if you can maintain the legs as they are, tilt. Now notice the back knee will start to straighten a little bit. That's okay because we are finding a backward bend now. But we're trying not to dump it all into the low back. Your total spine is backward bending. Make sure you're still sitting low in that front leg. Look up towards the ceiling. Open up the whole right side body. Feel this all the way across. Big QL stretch as well as the front hip flexor. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, land your hand. Step back, move through a flow if you like. Shift forward. Hug the elbows in and lower. Maybe you land if you need to. Inhale, up. Exhale, downward facing dog. One last thing before we attempt our split. Right leg lifts. Exhale, step it through. Back knee down. We're back in the low lunge position. Whether you want to tuck the toes or flatten the foot is up to you, whatever keeps you more balanced. Now we're going to find the twist again. Left hand down, right arm up. This time I would advise not having a block just because it gets in the way. Now you're going to lift your back foot up off of the mat and reach for your foot from the inside. So it's similar to what we were doing in our tabletop bird dog. You may have to wiggle this front foot a little more forward to find more room. Again, try not to dump the hips down, but keep them pressing forward. Open your chest and feel this big stretch in the front of your leg. If you'd like to, be very gentle, but you can pulse the heel in. Now it should be uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be painful. So if you feel like a big pull at the front of your kneecap, not so great. But if you can pulse it a little bit closer each time, try and use your breath. Exhale. Maybe you can hold now your maximum point. Try not to sink into the bottom shoulder as I was just doing. And very slowly release. Now we're going to press back for a moment. Try to lengthen your spine. You might lift the heel. Come back to your low lunge. Tuck the toe and step back to a downward facing dog. This time, left leg lifts. Exhale, step it through, back knee down, your low lunge. Take a moment, chest forward, and then when you're ready, right hand down, bend your back foot, reach back for it. And notice I need to make some little adjustments. Left knee might open out a bit, that's fine. And pull. This quad is a lot tighter for me, and this hip flexor is a lot tighter, so I have less room, it feels like. But after a few breaths, you might be able to pull in a little bit closer. Just some pulses to start. Little bends of the elbow. And your heel might be like touching your butt. Mine is pretty far. Just depends on you. Don't push yourself past your flexibility. You're trying to find the edge of your flexibility to eventually lengthen. It takes time. Once you find that maximum point, see if you can hold it for one more breath. And then slowly release. Tuck the toe, come back to your low lunge, and step back to down dog. Beautiful. Lift your right leg up, bend your knee, and open your hip out to the side. Then you can kind of kick the heel, circle the ankle. Take the other side, left leg lifts. Bend your knee, open, kick the heel, circle the ankle. Come back to center. Now we're ready for our version of a split, whatever that is today. Right leg lifts. Exhale, step it through. Come into your low lunge. Find blocks to help you. And you're going to slowly inch the front leg forward and inch the back leg forward. Inch the front leg forward. Inch the back leg forward. And you're trying to come as low as you can. Now, people ask which you should move first, like what should you prioritize, the front leg or the back leg? And the answer is that it's up to you. The answer is there's no answer. Some days you might want to work on the hamstring part of it. Some days you might want to work on the hip flexor part of it or the front leg part of it rather than the back. Up to you. Wherever you're going, try to avoid hunching over. Lift your chest, belly in, nice and strong. So that's why we did a whole lot of other exercises like core, and we warmed up the spine because it's not just your legs that are involved in your split, it's everything. So I've been here pretty long. I might be able to find a little bit more room. I might be able to lift my foot up. Eventually in your split, your shoulders will be over your hips. So you can also work to bring your blocks a little bit more towards center. So I'm nice and tall, and then I have a little more room here in my leg. Over time, as you hold this, you can inch a little bit further and a little bit back. I'm only going to hold this here for a few more breaths, but you feel free to stay as long as you like. Just make sure that nothing is painful. Are you clenching onto your blocks for dear life, or are you holding your breath? In that case, please back out just a little bit. Find the edge of your flexibility. And the longer you hold, see, I can scooch just a little bit lower, but I'm still able to talk to you, which means I'm still able to breathe. So that's key. Now to come out, very carefully, I would suggest sliding the front foot in first, very slowly and gently. Nice. Okay, now we're going to switch sides. Pause in a downward facing dog in between, just because it's a really nice release for the legs. Maybe shake them out, walk your dog. Left leg up. Exhale, step it through. Back knee down. Pause. Use blocks to help you if you need to, otherwise you can reach the floor. It just helps me to have the floor closer to my hands. Scooch the front leg forward. Scooch the back leg back. And eventually you find a nice middle ground. Now, if you would like, you can only work on the front, or you can only work on the back leg. I like to work on both at once, and just really my focus, my personal focus, is to get my spine tall in the center, because I tend to hunch, I tend to find all kinds of things to do with my back to avoid getting in the legs. So I'd like to work on that and then come closer to the mat. But you might have a slightly different goal. Either way, we're all going in the same place. So this side is a little bit tighter for me today, and maybe always. So I'm going to make my blocks a little bit higher so I have room to come up a little bit taller. Shoulders away from my ears. I'm not jamming them down. I'm not hunching them up. Somewhere right in between, belly in. Work to scissor the legs together, meaning right hip forward, left hip back. Now you'll find that forcing that really creates a big stretch in the legs, maybe even too much. So feel free to not tighten up there, but you're just working to bring them in one line. Big breaths. Maybe over time you find a little more room. This is my tighter side, so I'm staying right here, but you might have more room. Always nice and easy breathing. In and out. Through the nose. Notice if you're holding on for dear life, so my arms are getting tired, I'm trying to let go of the muscles in the arms and just use the blocks to prop up. Okay, wherever you are, slowly slide that front leg forward. Remove your blocks. Land the hands, step back, down dog, maybe walk the dog, pedal your feet. Remember, I'll bring the knees down. This time, keep them together. Child's pose. If you'd like a little extra release for the shoulder, bring the hands back behind you, palms face up, shoulders heavy forward. Slowly walk yourself up. Sweep your legs out in front of you. Lie back down with control. Keep the soles of the feet grounded. The next pose we're going to do is kind of opening up the hips in a way that we didn't. Bridge pose. If you still have your prop or your block with you, you can do a supported bridge. Otherwise, you'll just do an active one. Either way, first, see if you can graze the heels with your fingertips. And now notice, are your heels underneath your knees? So my stance is a little bit longer than my fingertips. I have to scooch my heels a little bit more forward so that they're directly underneath the knees when I press up. Push into the floor, lengthen tailbone, and lift your hips up high. Then you might shimmy your shoulders a little bit closer. You might even clasp the hands underneath you. Now I like to take a supported bridge just because then I'm not working so much with the legs. I'll place my block right at the sacrum, not the low back and not the tailbone, somewhere right in between, like the top part of the butt to rest on. And then my legs aren't working and just the hips are opening. In this option, you can also extend your legs long, and that can feel very good, really nice and opening for all of that hip work that we just did. Maybe place your hands on your hips and feel that opening. And it's okay if your block or your prop is not very high, even if it's just like a pillow. It still allows this big lift of your hips and the opening of the front side of your body. Slowly walk your legs back in if they're out. Lift your hips. Roll your spine down vertebra by vertebra all the way down to the mat. Maybe you shimmy your knees side to side. We're going to end with a spine twist on each side. So the next time that your knees fall over to one side, hold there. Open the arms and gaze over the back shoulder. Keep both shoulders grounded. Use that as your anchor and feel the twist from the middle spine. Slowly come back to center and take the other side. Arms out wide again, both shoulders anchored to the floor. Feel this twist rotation in your spine. Slowly come back. Hug the knees in. Now take a moment for Savasana. Laying the legs out long. Maybe you want to widen out like a star and soak in all the benefits of your practice just now. Everything you've just done for your body, the whole body. And everything you are able to do and everything you are not able to do, take it all in with gratitude, no judgment. Thank your body for trying, for maybe pushing past your boundaries, but never pushing past pain. Thank yourself for this connection between mind and body and breath that you've cultivated. Slowly start to make some movement in the head, the toes, the fingers. You might want a full body stretch. You might want to hug in or both. You might want to roll over onto one side and eventually make your way up to a seat. Take your time. You don't have to follow me. Eventually you have a nice tall spine. Eyes open or closed. Settle the hips. Soften the shoulders. One last moment of gratitude for your practice. Gratitude for your body, your breath. And I thank you so much for sharing your practice, however that is that we shared it together. Thank you.